Crazy Taxi was a big hit in both the arcades and on Dreamcast. The game had you rushing around San Francisco in a taxi, picking up passengers and getting them to their desired destinations as quickly as possible. The faster you get there, and the more crazy stunts you pull off, the more extra money you get. It's extremely fun and can be hard to put down. The $5 garage sale Dreamcast I got back in 2002 came with the disc in the system, and I played it a ton. And I wasn't the only one. A lot of people really loved this game, and it would end up being one of the few Dreamcast titles to sell over 1 million copies. So, while it wasn't exactly the first game to have a concept like this, yes, I know of the existence of Courier Crisis, it was the first game that really nailed it and landed on the radars of the mainstream gaming audience. And with its widespread recognition and acclaim for something that hadn't been done to death, it was inevitable that someone else would try to do their own version. And lucky for us 90s kids, that someone would be The Simpsons. Released in 2001, The Simpsons Road Rage has you driving around the city of Springfield while taking fares from its various residents in an effort to compete with Mr. Burns' newly unveiled nuclear transit system.
Please kill me.
I'm not sure why exactly you need to do this, but hey, you get a CG intro featuring the show's cast explaining the plot, which is cool to see if you're a fan. If you're like me, there's a chance you may have constantly mixed this game up with The Simpsons Hit and Run back in the day, due to its similarly themed title. Even by looking at their covers, you may not be able to tell which is which if you aren't super familiar with the games. However, while Hit and Run is heavily inspired by Grand Theft Auto, Road Rage gets its gameplay from, of course, Crazy Taxi. You start off being able to play as any of the main Simpsons family, sans Maggie. Yep, Bart and Lisa get to drive, cause hey, it's a cartoon. Anyway, as with Crazy Taxi, you pick up a passenger, they tell you where they want to go, and then an arrow guides you there. However, unlike Crazy Taxi, there's a map on screen that's much more useful than the arrow, and I generally just navigated using that. Interestingly, the vehicles are cel-shaded while the characters are not. I wonder why they decided to go in that direction. Again, like Crazy Taxi, you gain extra time and money for arriving at a destination in a speedy fashion, but the characters also occasionally give you optional objectives, which give big cash and time bonuses if you're able to complete them. This could include not hitting more than 3 cars on your way there, or destroying a certain number of obstacles. So once you run out of time, you get a grade, Mr. Burns scolds you in some way, and you can try again. When you reach certain money goals, you gain the option to unlock either a new character or a new location to drive around. Being the big Simpsons fan I am, I couldn't help but unlock characters at first, even if the locations are probably the better choice to start with. These characters include the likes of Moe, Flanders, and Chief Wiggum, all with voice clips recorded exclusively for the game.
Good thing this car belongs to the city.
Even more than the intro cutscene, this is just great if you're a fan. And it's not just the drivers who give new lines, but the passengers as well, who could include the other drivers when you're not playing as them, or many of Springfield's other beloved residents.
Well, hop right in.
Another thing this game has that Crazy Taxi does is challenge missions. These are kind of like the optional objectives the passengers sometimes give you, but a bit more specific, with a little newspaper clipping that explains their backstory. They include things like Homer sneaking back into work without getting caught, or Barney taking out his rage after a rough night out by running over the town's mascots for some reason. These are a lot easier than the missions in Crazy Taxi, and I had no problem finishing all of them. One thing I love about this game is its braking mechanic. When you stop, you can quickly turn in whatever direction you push. It just feels great, and helps you easily take off after completing a fare. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any other game I've played that had this, but I wish it was more common.
That's the spicy meatball!
Now, Crazy Taxi does kind of have this, but it's nowhere near as fluid. This game does have one major issue, which is the load times. Anytime you start a game mode, you'll be waiting quite a while before you actually get to play. If you're doing one of those challenge missions, which are very short, and you fail, you have to go through the loading screen again to make another attempt. In some cases, the loading might actually take longer than the challenge itself. It's insane. I played these emulated on an M2 SSD, and they took forever. I can't even imagine how long these would take on an actual PS2. That said, one benefit of emulation is that you can just make a save state at the start of the challenge and avoid getting a load screen again if you fail. But yeah, this game is a lot like Crazy Taxi. So much in fact that Sega sued. Although it does change things up by having far more characters and stages to choose from, as well as added gameplay mechanics, it still can't escape the fact that what you are doing is basically just Crazy Taxi's gameplay. With that said, I don't think it's a bad game. If you like Crazy Taxi, there's a good chance you'll get some enjoyment out of this. And if you like Crazy Taxi and The Simpsons, there's a good chance you'll get a ton of enjoyment out of it. The game is filled to the brim with Golden Age Simpsons references that diehard fans will love. I mean, look at Moe's car. That is a very specific reference, and it's amazing.
Excuse me there, officer. You see my car there? With the rubber hippie daisy? Space 7A? Yeah, what about it? Yeah, I was just thinking what a good parking job I did with it. Yeah, hey, that is nice. Hey, Lou, check out that park job in 7A.
Woohoo! That's sweet.
There are a ton of things like that throughout the various stages that only people who've watched the show to death will get. And the interactions between the various driver and passenger combinations are great as well. And on top of that, if you beat all of the challenge stages, you unlock the car that Homer Simpson himself designed, the Homer. If you're a fan like me, you know how awesome that is, and it's clear that the people making the game were big fans as well. This game came out the same year as the PS1 game, The Simpsons Wrestling. That is a bad Simpsons game, and just a notoriously bad game in general. This is not. In fact, I'd go as far as calling it one of the few good Simpsons games. Yes, the load times are atrocious, and it's not quite as good as The Simpsons Hit and Run or the arcade game, but it's still fun, even if the gameplay is nearly a one-to-one copy of Crazy Taxi. Because, hey, that itself is a very fun game.
Oh, this is taking too long.
Oh, I thought I was winning.
Welp, that's that. Now, before you get super upset thinking I besmirched the name of your beloved game by calling it a ripoff, don't forget that being a ripoff isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it even adds to the enjoyment. And also,
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to see more like it in the future. Fans of the channel may also want to consider supporting it on Patreon or as a YouTube member for early access footage, a chance to pick games for review, and more. Well, with that said, I guess it's time to close this thing out. As always, thanks for watching The Legend of Games.